Madam, can funding be stopped?
The IMF funding, the tranche, India already conveyed during the discussions were on their serious concern about it, and then we abstained in the voting. Well, in the IMF, there is no provision for negative voting, and abstaining is a very strong expression of India's discontent with this step. So I think in follow-up of this, we have to take it up with the other members who are represented in the IMF, because the IMF has, this collective form of representation where one country represents two or three others. Within the same region. So I think we have to take it up with those individual countries and make sure that this message goes back, take it up directly with the IMF also, but we will need the support of the other countries. So I think this decision by the government to send the members of parliament, groups of members of parliament from different political parties to many different world capitals, this is a very important decision, and this should definitely be on their agenda, on their talking points, on their agenda to convey to the governments of the countries they're going to meet when they travel across the world. And I think this is absolutely vital, because it is really been exposed that UN proscribed organizations like Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed, they are living in open sight in Pakistan. Of course, we have bombed their headquarters, and they will be rebuilt again. But the IMF tranche of help is going to be used to pay to these people. Already, the government of Pakistan has announced 14 crores to be given to Masood Azhar, who lost 14 people also in the attack by India on the Jaish-e-Mohammed headquarters. So I think, the blatancy with which Pakistan is continuing its assistance to banned UN organizations, this has to be brought out to the world, and the outcome of the visits by the MPs should be on these areas. I mean, is the world willing to look at these things seriously, or are they going to be hypocritical about terrorism and about the UN's own decisions on banning these terrorist groups? I think this is a very, very important part of the talking points for these delegations, and we hope they come back successful.
Okay, Ambassador Bhattacharya, your opening comment, do we have a play there? And does Pakistan has any relevance globally? It used to be a client state for America. It has become a client state for China. Does it have any play for it to benefit with such lavish funding in future, sir?
Well, we've seen that Pakistan has been a habitual goer to the IMF and for funding, because its finances are often in distress. The extended fund facility, which was approved last year, and for which the second tranche was approved a few days ago, in fact, after the heinous terrorist attack in Pahalgam, is yet another signal that the Pakistan economy is in very dire straits. The EFF, as you know, is essentially for balance of payment disruptions. And Pakistan has a very meager foreign exchange reserve, probably just about 2 months of its import requirements. And it required this funding, which was sanctioned for about $7 billion. Now, out of this, it comes in tranches, and it's very unfortunate because the IMF provisions actually look at its success in terms of the release looks at the progress in terms of the conditionalities that have been imposed. And the conditionalities that were imposed on this particular instance were all economic in nature. And therefore, this is perhaps a lacunae in the Bretton Woods institutions, which are led by the Western countries. They have the large dominating share in the votes over there, which determines where these funds go. That we have not been able to bring in other considerations. And although our executive director made a very strong plea on that account, he had to eventually abstain on that particular account. And so the contention that is often made is that instead of the IMF, you go to the FATF and discuss these terror-related issues is perhaps somewhat of a specious argument, because Pakistan has been in the FATF grey list a few times. It has then graduated because it has complied with certain conditions, but not with certain others. But on the financial front, we've seen. One point that I want to make is that, both IMF and World Bank extend funding based on the debt capacity of a certain country. And we've seen that the very high level of exposure that Pakistan has to debt, particularly from China, makes it an extremely vulnerable country and therefore should be categorized as very high risk. And the conditionality should be much more stringent. And I think I take the point that Ambassador Sikri was making, that I think terror-related instruments need to be brought into the IMF conditionalities as well, given that Pakistan has proven itself to be an epicenter of terror.
General Sani, we are questioning the conduct of the international institutions, but can we say that, is it possible to change their behavior, sir?
Well, I think the two ambassadors have very clearly enunciated what the challenges exist. And I think what Ambassador Sikri said, that in the long term, we need to add these kind of conditionalities into the system. But I think that aside, may I just state that it's going to be extremely difficult to stop funding to Pakistan